There are different times in my journey when I owned my business for 16 years. Am I ready to sell? I don't think so. Not quite yet, because I haven't taken it to that next level. So I had to invest time and money, resources to grow that business, bring in the right people, and then delegate to elevate. So I knew where I wanted to be. And then at that right time, when I had the perfect team and the right people in place and the best company culture, then I was able to sell.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Women Unlocking Wealth podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Tamara Thompson.
Hey, everybody.
And I'm here also with the amazing Erica Seagrave. She is a business operations consultant. We're so grateful to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background.
My background is my first business. Actually, I started in 2003, and I have a neurophysiology background.
Wow.
So nowhere where I am today, but that actually led me to where I am today. So I was a surgical neurophysiologist working for a large academic institution in Indiana, which is where I'm from. And along my journey, I basically hit the glass ceiling for the hospital, left there, and I decided that I wasn't going to make any more money for the hospital, so I needed to leave there and start my own business. And so I chose to do that at other smaller hospitals that didn't have the service that I was doing at that large academic institution. And that as I started and grew that business, that my passion grew for being a business owner and deciding that, well, I really like working on the business and running it more than I like being a clinician. And so that led me to where I am today as a business consultant after I sold my business.
What did you actually go to college for?
Education, undergrad, and then neurophysiology and healthcare management.
Wow.
Those are my undergrads.
That's amazing. I have a biology degree.
Okay.
and then I went back to school and got an MBA, which I did not need to learn how to run a business. So what do you love so much about when you're running a business? What are you super passionate about?
I loved starting the business and growing it organically, and then eventually exiting and selling the business. What I like most about the business journey right now, what I do is helping business owners. I, as a consultant and a business coach and an operations consultant, I'm helping people being the person I wish I would have had, 20 some years ago for my first business. Then you didn't really have business coaches and consultants. And so when I'm watching other businesses go through the struggles and the challenges and being stuck, I'm now able to jump in as a operations COO and say, here's what you should do. Don't do this.
That's so needed right now. There's so many companies where the one thing that they actually need overseeing is operations in order to, if things in operations are off, then everything else is off on the side of profit and different margins. And so I'm curious, what's your biggest strength when you come into a company and you're or tell us maybe a story of how you've helped someone on the operations front. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
So I loved being a CEO when I ran my businesses, but right now I enjoy being a COO more because not every COO has the implementation and execution skills. I felt like I did have both, but now I enjoy being a COO where I can come in and just really focus on day-to-day operations and growth. Because as we know, so many businesses, the CEO wears so many hats. And they can't, their job is to focus on vision and strategy and growth.
Yeah.
And they can't do that because they're in the day-to-day mundane operations with employees, company culture, payroll, contracts, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So what I'm able to do is come in and listen to my clients and hear what their pain points are, where they are in their journey of their business. I do a lot of listening. And then I ask them, what do you think your challenges are in your business? And then I'm able to identify what those challenges are for them and say, okay, here's what you need help executing. Let me help you do the day-to-day stuff so that you don't have to worry about that. That's off your plate and you can focus on the vision of the company where you want to take this business. Maybe it's growth. Maybe it's an acquisition, an exit plan. But I'm able to come in and tell them, and not tell them, I suggest, I advise. We work together and say—
Collaboration.
We collaborate. That's right. And we say, let me help you follow a process with consistency and doing the things that I know work and don't do the things that don't work because I've been through all those things.
Do you typically work with certain types of organizations that you're I know this industry in and out more than others?
Now, I know medical very well and health and wellness. That's been my background all my life. But the truth is, I intentionally don't want to work and just stay in that lane. I want to work with other businesses. So it's industry agnostic. I want to work with different businesses because business is business. So I can learn whether it's photography or real estate or cybersecurity or a fitness gym or all the startups and e-commerce, all of the businesses I've worked with, it's all the same. They all want to figure out how to make money and grow and take their passion, turn it into profit. And so I love learning these new business tactics and then helping them get to their goals. So that's really fun and challenging for me. And I learn a lot from these business owners.
Do you see at different levels of business? So if you have a 7-figure company or an 8-figure or 9-figure and up, like are there, like you said, they're all very similar, but I would imagine there's a slight difference. Like, what are some, like an example of like a 7-figure company that wants to get to an 8-figure? Do you have any stories that you could tell that you came in and you recognized this was some of the issues that they were having, if you're allowed to say?
Yeah, I wouldn't specifically name a company, obviously, but I would say that when they're at that level and they want to level up even further for potential acquisition, then what I did with I used the same tactics I did with my own business, which was to grow it before I sold it. And so I was very intentional about that. So I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew there were different times in my journey when I owned my business for 16 years. Am I ready to sell? I don't think so. Not quite yet, because I haven't taken it to that next level. So I had to invest time and money, resources to grow that business, bring in the right people, and then delegate to elevate. So I knew where I wanted to be. And then at that right time, when I had the perfect team and the right people in place and the best company culture, then I was able to sell. So that's where I would help them get to, is determine what do we have to do to get you to make the maximum profit on your business for the acquisition.
Are you scouting the talent? Like, or you have the a recruiting department that you're overseeing them do their job? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's both. Actually, depends on the client. Sometimes they'll have me come in. My focus and my passion is on operations, but it's oftentimes I come in and help with so many things: recruiting, hiring, firing, unfortunately, letting go, building company culture and team building, and then also giving leadership advice to the executive of the company. So I do recruiting, or I'll invest or reach out to use my resources to have a company come in and help assist with the recruiting.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I was an operations manager for 2 years, 2.5 years. I was with the company for 8 years, but 2.5 years was enough for me. And before I jumped into the startup with her, that was like 12, 13 years ago or something like that. And yeah, I had to learn team culture, how to like communicate differently with all the different personalities to just drive results through the people. Like we were like the best in the district. Like we were like the best store like ever. Operations is just so freaking important. And a lot of people just don't prioritize it as much. Or not a lot of people, but some people just don't prioritize it as much. And like the work that you're doing is so needed. When you're coming into a company, and I'm thinking of one specifically, like it's a corporation and the culture is really toxic. What do you do with that type of corporation? Like you don't want to like go straight to the CEO and be like, your company culture is horrible. Like what do you do?
It stems from leadership typically.
It does.
And what happens is when, let's say an example, which I won't state names, but I've seen scenarios where there might be even like 2 co-founders of a company and they're having the team lead, but they're not leading. They're off traveling and doing other things. Mm-hmm. And then, all the team that get on calls are negative or you can tell they don't like their job or, things like that, or point fingers. Like it all stems from leadership on that side. And so I think people, if they're just busy living their lives and it's not an importance piece of them, I think the true leaders that want to scale on that side, like they want people like you to come in and be like, hey, help this side. Do you also help on anything on the side of the leadership aspect with the people that you might see like this, the operations aren't good because of leadership missing?
100%. There's so many things to unwrap in that. Yeah. Like you guys just said. A lot of times it ends up being the leader or leaders of the organization where the
leaders,
poor,
yes,
the poor company culture is. And so I don't just come right out and say that. I try to be very delicate and careful about that and listen and watch. And then I'll even interview each of the employees and say, tell me about your experience here. What do you like? What do you not like? And if you let them talk enough, they're going to tell you exactly where the problem lies and ends up going to that one, source every single time. And so then I have to gently say, I think you should have you considered doing this? So it's a very gentle and kind and caring approach to how the leader might change their ways of doing things. But ultimately, when they can scale, the leader can't be all things because they're doing all things. So they can't be good at everything. And so when the time is right, they need to kind of bow out and let the next person in operations take control and really manage that team. But not every business can do that until they scale. Mm-hmm. And so then that CEO has no choice. They have to be a good leader. And that's actually why I started my consulting business, is because, again, I was a clinician. I was in the operating room working with surgeons and hospital administrators and managing employees and all the things I didn't know I was going to be doing or really was good at doing or didn't really care to be doing those, but I had to. And then I realized at some point, I actually read a book, Traction by Gino Wickman, and that really changed everything for me, that I have to be on the business. I have to value my employees. I have to bring them into team meetings and ask them, hey, how do you think we should do this? What are your thoughts about this? And I had to share my vision with them. When that happened, my company completely soared.
Yes.
And then I became much bigger than I ever anticipated.
Oh,
I love that.
Just like you said with the whole statement, they always say work on your business versus in your business. And it's so true.
Yeah. And I think just taking the time to pull in your employees and have those open-ended questions, that's like the most important thing that I've seen in leadership. And when I was in management, when there was any conflict, or even when there wasn't conflict, I would compliment them. Like I'd compliment them on what they're doing well, and then also just have the hard conversations right away. Like if there was something like major, like it's like just pull them in the office, but do it kindly and ask open-ended questions of how can we do this better, and let them come up with ideas. I know that's really important. Do you also help with the systems, like building out systems to better improve the way things are working within the company?
I do, but it's not a one package fits all. I really try to customize it based on my client and where they are in their business and where they want to be. By the way, that's one thing I asked them early going in to our partnership is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? Then let me help you. Let's back into that and determine how you want to get there. So absolutely. So I don't have a particular system, but again, I think that's where I was going with this, is I ask them where they want to be and then I help them develop. It's just forming a system of being consistent and following a process. And so I don't have one particular system that I use. I know that there are consultants that do have a system and that works, but I don't. That's right. So I really determine what their business is, where they want to go, and then I'll form that roadmap for them and that system. And then I just make sure that they're being held accountable and actually following the process to get where they need to be. And I'm checking in on them to say, where are we at? I'm going to be held accountable. So should you. We're both being held accountable here for following those processes.
When you work with like medical firms or whatever companies in the medical field that you work with, do you have a lot of compliance things that you're overseeing, like with paperwork, like being like, I remember for me, I had to oversee an audit, like the business all the time. Like it was like a monthly audit. Like, is that something that you're doing for these clients as well?
I'm not doing that. They typically have people in place, or I can help them find those resources. What I want to do is oversee the operations, and I have to be involved. I have to know what's going on, but I'm not that deep involved.
She's more of the consultant side of it. So she's not coming in as like, maybe like a fractional side, and then there's other people there that you oversee that typically run the operations otherwise, or like you're probably like COO, but then there's somebody maybe that works in the office when you come in more on that consulting front.
Yes, that's right. And so it's not, I do roll my sleeves on some projects, but not every, I'm like, let's get down and dirty this. Let's go. You need my help. But mostly it's just guiding them and advising them on some suggestions and giving them a different perspective on how they can handle it. They'll have CFOs or CPAs or some those folks I work closely with, because numbers matter to me. They have to matter to me for operations.
Exactly.
But I don't necessarily get that deep into the audits. And I want to have knowledge of it. And I want to know. I don't want to not know, because then I can help them, which does happen sometimes with CEOs. This is what I want. I want to hire this person or bring this or buy this business. I'm like, I can't negotiate with something I don't know. You have to give me some information here so I can help you make the best decision. Yeah. That's more what I do. Where it is a fractional or even interim COO is oftentimes what my work is.
When it comes to growth, like so you're going in there and it's not just team culture. Like what other stuff are you looking at for helping them achieve more growth in the company?
I'm looking at what their financial plans are. If they do want to maybe even clean things up and find the holes in the business that, perhaps it's from a clinical standpoint, or my team isn't really respecting me. They're not doing these things and they're not leveling up. What things can I do? Or what systems can I follow to put these things in place? Or even how to generate revenue for sales teams. I oversee even sometimes sales and marketing and investments. And so I was able to raise my own funding for my businesses, but there are so many companies out there that need investment dollars. And so I'm not necessarily bringing those investment folks to them, but I'm overseeing that, maybe giving them some advice and suggestions and just helping them if they are looking for, funding and finances for their company.
Yeah. We were just talking with their CMO, and most businesses need at least like a 25% marketing budget, at least.
So marketing 20 to 25% for expenses. So.
And even just identifying those things about what's your budget for this? And a lot of businesses smaller startup businesses don't have a budget for these things.
Or they don't know how to
They
figure
don't know
out
how
the
to budget
budgeting.
for those things.
Yeah.
So
It's one of those things that, as you grow, you start to learn and you hire the right people that
That's
understand that piece of it and have people like you come in and help structure that as well. Is there anything you have going on this year that you're like excited about, or anything that you want to share with our audience, like, or something specific that you've got going on?
I would say for my business, I have two verticals. One is offering just coaching and leadership advice to the CEO of the company, and maybe they just contact me as they need me. But one of my other verticals is being COO for companies where they come and hire me for at least a year, and then watching that business grow and either staying, or I help them bring in the right person if it's time for me to bow out. So I'm excited about the new clients I've recently brought on and helping them grow. And I have both, and I like both. I like doing both and mixing it up a little bit. But the COO jobs take a lot out of me because, as you can imagine, I can't take on several of those organizations because it's a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm. You're like, I hit the gym every day.
Yes, I have to do that. Yes, I have to release and go hiking and do different things to kind of release my stress. Those challenges are also very fun for me too.
Yeah, I love a good challenge. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show today. Could you share with our audience like how they can connect with you, social media, anything that you've got else going on? I'd love to hear.
Sure. So I am on all social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I have a website. My handles are MJS Consultants. That's for all my social media handles. And then my website is seagraveconsultants.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. It was fun.
And those of you who are watching, be sure to subscribe, ring that bell on YouTube, leave us a comment, leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, and we'll see you in the next episode.